Building prosperity all comes down to how many high value activities you're doing day in and day out, and how you are refining, leveling up, updating, restructuring your high value activities to get to where you want to be and do what you want to do. It's Travis Soda Wells, Pure Sound Daily Business. Building off of yesterday's demonstration and thinking about what really makes an experience. I think one piece is definitely on our side is that how engaged we are in an activity. That's why routine, habit, we might not be that engaged in it. I think, real experience, those high level things, more factors than just being engaged are required. However, I think that's the minimum, like the number one piece that has to happen. And I just think, again, something that we do with exercising, tasks we have with work. It's like the more engaged we're into it, the more intense it is, the more focused. This is the baseline of beginning an experience. And then when we're talking about to really build prosperity, to really get to the next level, prosperity, accomplishment, just any accomplishment, any kind of prosperity, whether just personal, within yourself, intangible, we say internal profit, any kind of profit. It's all about how many high value activities you're doing. And that's the general piece. So what are you doing? I was thinking, I'm looking right now, I'm assessing my life. And not only the work with the business, building the business, stepping in entrepreneurship, how many leads I'm engaging in. But then, of course, we start looking at how am I engaging with leads? What strategy is there? Is one strategy better than another? So for me, it goes back to, what am I actually trying to do? Where am I trying to be? And these two factors of the vision of the future and what I'm doing now, where I'm at now, and how what I'm doing is filling the gap. Is it? And starting something out new, there is a testing piece. There is an experimenting piece. And any business, I was listening to the book Management, which just takes on a whole new context now that we have Fallout, the Netflix show. And yeah, I just got to laugh about that, the whole management piece. But great book, Peter F. Drucker. And it really isn't, I just keep thinking about, the demonization of business, of management. And stick with this point for a little bit, this thought, because I know a lot of us, especially when we talk about personality type, we all have this part of us within us, but some people, lean into it, quote unquote, a little more than others. And that piece of, the play between our authentic self and the doing business. The play between, harmonizing with people and getting something done. A lot of times, or really, it might just be the very nature of getting something done is that there is a sacrifice. And the biggest sacrifices come from us, come from the human part, come from our emotions, come from our connection to each other. I was just literally before I started this podcast up, and I was looking at something else, and it was another piece of, well, actually it was about growing a podcast, and it was about the who. Who is the podcast for? Hopefully I'm trying to reach people that are going through a transition, getting to that transformation. It's also, I think, the classic niche market. Now, I don't necessarily agree with you have to know this before you start doing anything. And that's not what I've done. I've started something and then worked it out. That's really the main point I would get at with getting into action, getting into engaging in activity, and activity, being engaged in it, is to do, to test. And then we make the pivot, we make the adjustments. And that's what this chapter in the book was talking about. And talking about the biggest entities on this planet, the biggest organizations on this planet, the biggest quote unquote businesses on this planet are governments. And they don't restructure enough. Or try to fix what's broken, reform what's broken. And very simple. I'm like, this ain't rocket science. We was just saying, the worst things that aren't working, that are actually harmful, get rid of them. The things that, we test out and they have something salvageable about them, that's where we restructure. And then, of course, the things that we're doing well, that are working, how can we improve those and do them even better? And that's the process. What activities are we doing? Are they high value? And the point, really the other point of that book was saying, when we're talking about governments, is that, and this is a American author. Of course, when I'm talking about America, we're talking about the United States. We all know that. And he was speaking about the U.S. government and how, and probably he said every 50 years, just 50 years alone, just the time frame, things need to be restructured. And then also when it's size and scale, when things get too big, or there's a different, you're either serving more people or the business itself is bigger or smaller. And that this is time where how it used to be ain't the same. And you need to restructure. I know I've been thinking about this a lot recently, just with building a business, and that some personality types are built for sustaining and maintaining a business, managing a business, and other types are better at the building, the initial fast start, building something up, getting started, but they're not particularly skilled at, just naturally talented at maintaining something. I am okay in the beginning, and then really where I shine is in the long term. I don't like that. I don't like the middle part, which is why I laugh and we be easy. But the real life application is that's why it's taken me so long in my life. Because there are things I've started, there are things I haven't started. But it wasn't until saying, okay, I got to be serious about this and really get over myself to get what I want. Leave the mark that I want. And again, sustained, engaged activity over a period of time. and to be realistic, not to chase or to get down. This is an anxiety talk. This is anticipation talk. That it's going to take longer than we think. It's going to be harder than we think. It's going to cost more than we think. How is this anticipation talk? Because it's going to work. Yeah, those things are going to happen, but I didn't say it's going to take longer and then we're not going to get it. It's just going to take longer and we still going to get it. And the point is that it takes longer because we start doing something and then we realize we got to switch it up. We might have to do something completely different. We might have to scrap what we were just doing. Either way, we're always going to have to improve. I pity those who start out and they're just really good at something. Because then either one, they don't think they need to improve, or when that talent finally runs out and there needs to be improvements, they don't have the skills because they haven't developed them. To where even right now with this podcast, it has been a struggle to really get this thing going. I mean, I'm at hundreds of episodes right now, barely have listens. But I've learned enough that it's like, well, I haven't done enough activity in promotion. I can't honestly say I've done everything. I've done it by the book, quote unquote. It's like I barely scratched the surface of promoting this thing. So that's where, again, I just get back to, okay, we just gotta do different things. What high value activities am I doing to promote the podcast? So that's where we're at. What high value activities are you doing? And are you doing the same thing the same way as when you started out? What adjustments have you made? What new research? What new things have you learned? And what new experiences have you had that now you have a new way of doing things? It's Travis Soda Wells, Pure Sound Daily Business. Peace.